Okay, hello. This is the start of a new video. Me and Jay have decided we're going to swap books for like the weekend. It will hopefully be the weekend, but we've got a bank holiday weekend this weekend, so it's like Friday to Monday. We've got like 4 days to read, and we kind of just decided to do this because we both read quite frequently.
You read more than me.
Yeah, but you still read frequently.
I try to.
Like you pick up a book multiple times a week.
Yeah.
But we read very different things, and like we both enjoy reading, enjoy the process of reading, and enjoy like the talk and the like communication and the like discussion about what we're reading, would you say?
Yes.
So we're going to give each other books. Now, I don't know what book... Is it just one book you've done?
Yeah.
I don't know what book Jay has got, and Jay doesn't know what book I've got. I've actually picked 2 books, and I have already told him that, but you'll see why. So yeah, so I think what we'll probably do is film this bit, explain the books, why we're giving each other the books, and like our initial opinion on that, I guess. Like what I think of the book you chose, what you think of the books I've chose.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably, for the book Jay gives me, I'll probably split it into quarters, and the 2 books I've given to Jay, I'll split it into like quarters, but because there's 2 books it'll be like halfway through the one and halfway through the other. And after we reach those points of reading, we'll like come sit back down and like either together or individually, depending on how fast we read and if our paces are the same, we'll like come and sit down and say what our thoughts and feelings are.
Yeah, definitely.
At that point in time. So yeah, do you want to go first or should I?
It's up to you.
Would you
You go first. If you're totally easy, you go first.
yeah, I'm totally easy.
Cool.
Do you want both books now or just the one?
Both.
Both? Okay, so they're under this pillow and Jay's got a pillow hiding here. So I've picked this first book because out of all of my currently read books on my bookshelf, that when I've told you it's like sci-fi or fantasy based, it's the only one that you seemed like genuinely interested in reading.
Okay.
Do you have any idea?
Murderbot.
Yeah.
Is it?
So book 1 is Murderbot. This is All Systems Red, book 1 in the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells. And yeah, this is essentially a murderbot, and that's what they refer to themselves as. And they've hacked into their own system, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And it's only a short little book, as you can see. It's really short and tiny, so it shouldn't take you too long, which is why I have selected this one as well. It's 149 pages, so you can read it like that, but there is also the audiobook on Scribd.
Yep.
And that audiobook, if you listen at 1 times speed, is 3 hours and 17 minutes. But yeah.
Heather will put her Scribd link down below.
Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, this is the book. Do you want to maybe like read the back of it out loud and say what you think?
I've read the blurb. Is that what it's called, a blurb? I've read the blurb of this before and thought it sounded quite interesting, so I am quite glad that you've picked this. In a corporate-dominated, spacefaring future, planetary missions must be approved and supplied by the company. Exploratory teams are accompanied by company-supplied security androids for their own safety. But in a society where contracts are awarded to the lowest bidder, safety isn't a primary concern. On a distant planet, a team of scientists are conducting surface tests, shadowed by their company-supplied droid, a self-aware sec unit that has hacked its own governor module and referred to itself, though never out loud, as Murderbot. Scornful of humans, all it really wants to be is left alone long enough to figure out who it is. But when a neighbouring mission goes dark, it's up to the scientists and their Murderbot to get to the truth. Yeah, I think that's... if that was like a movie or a TV show, I'd watch it. So, yeah.
There is also the small selfish notion of wanting Jay to read and enjoy this book, in that all of the books cost about £20, and if he wants to read them, then it's a joint expense.
Rude.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Should I give you a second book?
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with having a second book?
I mean, I can imagine I'll finish this on Sunday and Monday. I can imagine I'll get through and finish this, so I might as well have another one to start if I'm gonna.
Okay. So, book 2. I've selected a second book because of how short they both are. And this one will essentially only take you an hour to read.
Okay.
It's thick, but it'll only take an hour because it's a graphic novel.
Okay.
So, you've read Fangs before, you read Fangs for
yeah.
like the 1st January, and you enjoyed that and you didn't expect to enjoy graphic novels. So, later this month, in like within the next couple of weeks, one of the graphic novel series that I've read and read is being adapted into a TV show on Netflix.
I didn't know that.
Oh no, you didn't know that, but I think it'd be quite cool to watch it together, and maybe if you'd read the first graphic novel,
Yeah.
you'd get even more enjoyment out of it.
Makes sense.
Do you have any idea what it is?
Yes, but I can't remember what it's called. The one that we sent to Australia.
Yes.
I can't remember what it's called, but
So,
I know the one.
It
Heartstopper?
is Heartstopper.
Hey.
This is book 1. And yeah, it is about Nick and Charlie and following them. On the back it just says, boy meets boy become friends, boys fall in love.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you have any thoughts, feelings?
I'm not really like...
Yeah, you never read anything like contemporary based at all,
really.
have you?
And it's like... It sounds like there's like a lot of romance in it, and I've never really...
I'd say it's also about friendships though, like it's more about like discovering yourself and friendships, and like kind of about like diversity and how like that diversity is normal as well. And yeah, I think there is a bit of a description on the front page if you wanted to read
I
it.
don't think I've ever read anything with like LGBT representation in it.
Really?
I don't think so. Because like, I feel like the last time I read fiction was like...
Well, you read non-fiction? Yeah, so none of your non-fiction books had that representation in or discussed any like issues?
No, because I've never read any books specifically about gender or sexuality. Like, I mean, I've flicked through things in Waterstones, but I've never like properly read anything about that.
First?
And none of the books that I have read have really mentioned gender or sexuality at all.
First?
So no, I've never read anything with that representation.
So it's your first like contemporary style book and your first...
What do you mean by contemporary style book?
Set in the modern world with real problems, like real... It is very real. This story could be happening next door to us, sort of thing. That's how I tend to think.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think on the inside it does say that there, if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'll have a read. Charlie and Nick are at the same school, but they've never met. Until one day, when they're made to sit together, they quickly become friends, and soon Charlie is falling hard for Nick, even though he doesn't think he has a chance. But love works in surprising ways, and Nick is more interested in Charlie than either of them realised. Okay. Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely for giving it a go.
Yeah, like, it's super quick to read as well. Like, even though it looks chunky, it is like really quick.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, nice. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, cool.
My turn?
Yes. This is a book that I've read,
Okay.
and
Narrows it down a lot.
I...
You finished it?
Yeah. And I found it incredibly interesting.
Okay.
And it has some information in there that I've tried to apply to my life, but I read it quite a while ago, and it is something that I've actually been meaning to go back at and back through and make notes about, actually.
Okay.
Any guesses?
I know it's not Sapiens because that's the only one that like I really question. That's not really got like learning points, has it?
Not really.
Fuck in the title, and it's like fuck off or like
Do it. Fuck it, do what you love.
yeah. Is it that one?
No.
Well, from your reaction to not knowing the title, I realised it wasn't.
I finished this when we were in Thailand.
Why don't you just show me? Ah, Why We Sleep, the international bestseller.
So yeah, the author of this is like a PhD neuroscientist guy. What, you read that?
A neuroscientist shows how a good night's shut-eye can make us cleverer and more attractive, slimmer, happier, healthier, and ward off cancer. It's probably a little too soon to tell you that it saved my life, but it's been an eye-opener. And that was from Mark O'Connell from The Guardian.
Yeah, this is a very interesting book. It was quite... I'll find out if there's an audiobook for it.
I think I've seen this on the library.
Yeah.
And what about it did you find was applicable to your life? Like, you need a good night's sleep. Was it deeper than that?
I'm trying to remember. There was a few things. I think how important sleep is was made very clear. Like, obviously everyone knows it's important, but like this book spells out that it's a lot more important than you'd realise. I feel like for me personally, I'm really bad at remembering things and understanding things on a surface level unless I know how the things behind that work. So I feel like, you know, there are parts where it goes quite in depth into how sleep works and like what it's for.
Okay.
And that really helped to like solidify the points that were being made about it's really important and this is why. Like it actually goes onto that level. And
You liked it.
I can't remember the specifics, but when I finished the book, I was like, that's a 5-star book. I really, really think
You
that
gave
was
it 5
very
stars.
good. I'm not sure if I actually put it on my Goodreads.
Jay, you need to sort your Goodreads out.
But yeah, it is a 5-star book in my opinion.
Someone I follow on Goodreads, one of their things is, I'm only 50% into it, and while it's good, if you have anxiety or if you're not sleeping well, don't read it.
Oh, shit. Fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, I should probably tell you the ratings I gave those. So I gave Heartstopper 5 stars.
I remember when you read it, you were raving about it for ages.
Well, because there's 4 volumes and they all follow on from each other so easily, I wasn't sure if I'd given like every volume 5 stars or not. Murderbot I also rated 5 stars.
Nice.
I wasn't sure if it was going to be a 4 or a 5 or a 4.5. The audiobook is available on both the library and Scrib, but not right now.
Okay.
But it's cool. I'll give it a physical go first, and if not, I can always push it forward into the start of next week. I think I can get the audiobook on the library very quickly. It's the 19th that I can get it by, which is 5 days.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know, it might be easy enough to just read. We will give both of these a go. I'm going to literally just put some like sticky notes in, and we will come back to the camera and chat about them when we get to those points.
I have another point to mention.
Oh, go on.
Have you seen how cracked the spine is?
I have seen how cracked the spine is, yeah.
Very good. Am I allowed to crack the spine of these that I'm reading? I can't read it without cracking.
If you're careful.
How am I meant to like...
Just be
just
careful
needs to
with
be,
them. These all, like, you don't need to put like 16 cracks in it, do you? Like, yes, if the spine has some damage to it, it's okay, but don't be a dick about it.
Okay.
Like, I know that you like to be like, oh, and like read it like this, and like that's really not necessary.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind. Hello. So, I've been reading Murderbot. I'm halfway through. I've just hit the point where I had to put a sticker, and I'm going to talk about spoilers. So, I guess Heather will put a timestamp of where it will be after I've talked about spoilers. But yeah, basically he just killed himself. And I say he, I realise that on the blurb it refers to Murderbot as it, but I keep saying he. Don't know why. Yeah, I'm really intrigued. I'm really finding it very interesting. It's quite late actually, like I should really be going to sleep, but I'm kind of hooked. Yeah, like the information is being fed very slowly. Like I feel like I'm like just finding out little bits about what the Murderbot is and like what its intentions are and like how it wants to just watch TV and stuff. But yeah, I haven't really been taking notes. I've just been letting myself enjoy it because this is the first time I've read fiction in a long time.
And are you enjoying it?
I am, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really hooked. Like I do sometimes read fiction. I'm subscribed to r/writing prompts on Reddit, which will give like a little bit of a. Do you just laugh? No. Which gives like a little bit of a like a prompt kind of, you know, to establish some kind of storyline, and then people will comment on their saying with their like their stories kind of thing, and like I don't know. I feel like this is a bit more thought out. Like, you know, it's maybe not as interesting as some of the things that I've read on there, but it's still very interesting. So yeah, I'm kind of just rambling, but yeah, I'm very much enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to reading more.
You're at the halfway mark.
Yes,
now, that's where I put the sticker.
I'm at the halfway mark. What, I don't know what chapter I'm on. I've just finished chapter 4. Is there 8 chapters?
I don't know, the page number you have.
Page number, I'm roughly halfway. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'll check in later. I've just finished it and I rated it 5 stars. I will talk more about it later. It's Sunday morning. I finished Murderbot yesterday morning, afternoon, lunchtime. Yeah, like yesterday lunchtime. And I really enjoyed it. I went straight onto Goodreads and I rated it 5 stars because it was that good. It was nice and short. It only took me a couple of hours to read it in total, maybe like 3 hours. So it was a very good like introduction back into fiction. I think I haven't really read fiction since I was a kid. Yeah, I really liked the story. I really liked the writing style. I think it was very interesting how it was from the perspective of the murderbot. Yeah, I really liked the perspective of it being from Murderbot, and you could really see the like progression of the character, I guess. Like, it started out with Murderbot was very passive, not really caring about the actual mission and not caring about the humans. You know, it kept saying that it just wanted to go back to its cubicle and watch TV, which is fair enough. But yeah, when stuff starts going down, you know, it sort of shows that it does actually care about the humans. Which was nice, and you could really see that progression as well. You could really see the humans starting to like understand that Murderbot like actually had a consciousness as well, which was interesting. And it kind of became apparent that even though it was, you know, on the blurb it says it's like a corporate dominated like society, that these people were from like a preservation planet or something. You know, it seems like they were more sort of ethical in the way that they approach things. Like, you know, I feel like obviously you can really dive down into like all the characters and what their motivations are, but I think it was very easy to follow. Like, there was no massive plot twist, which I was kind of expecting actually. I kind of expected there to be like something at the very end that made me think, oh, I can't believe I missed that. You know, I was thinking it was probably going to be to do with Murderbot being tricked maybe, or something about how Murderbot came to be, or like what it's like why it had consciousness, or like what its governor module or whatever. So yeah, I'm just rambling, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching the I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of the series, because there's like 5 books in that series. So
okay, so I have just made it to part 2 of this book, which is where my first check-in tab is. As you can see, the pink tabs there. I thought, I'm not the biggest fan of part 1, but it kind of feels like part 1 was just like a massive introduction for something that didn't need an introduction. So, although I haven't particularly enjoyed part 1, I'm still hopeful about the other parts. However, I have made some notes whilst reading, so let's talk about them. So my first thing when starting to read was that the interesting parts, the interesting points, even those felt like they needed like half the amount of words. Like, so many words are being used to explain each and everything, like way more than are necessary. I'd also say during part 1, like 80% of the stuff is stuff that you're already gonna know. I mean, I did science at GCSE level, and I did some science at like college level, so you know, like nothing specific, nothing to do with this, and like I feel like most of it is just common knowledge that you learn outside of like education anyway. Like, yeah, surprisingly, if you've been a teenager at any point in your life, you might know that teenagers, like, it's better for them to sleep later and like wake later. Like, I don't know, just stuff like that. Like, you know, like it didn't need a 4-page explanation. So that's what I kind of mean for like the points that weren't really hitting it. There were also quite a few sections in part 1 that had graphs, and the graphs were great. The graphs gave you so much information, but I'd look at the graph, I'd obtain the knowledge necessary from the graph, and then it'd spend like 2 pages talking about the graph and how to analyse it, and I was like, either talk about it and don't put the graph in, or just leave the graph. The graphs were great. Like, the graphs could have taken like massive chunks out, but for some reason both were used, and I just, yeah, it felt overly explained due to that. Also, a pet peeve of maybe just mine, but I really hate it when books do this, is This book is structured well, right? Like, there's a contents page at the front. The structure is good. Like, it seems like it's flowing very nicely. Except every 5 or 6 pages, there'll be a point where it'll be like, oh, but don't worry, I'll mention this in this chapter here, or move to this chapter here to, like, read about this first, or here's a little tidbit about this, however, I'll go into more detail in this chapter. And it's like, for Christ's sake, like, okay, you either structured your book well, which personally I feel like this has been structured well, so it doesn't need this, or your book isn't structured well, so probably hasn't been published anyway, so then you would have those bits in it. Like, they just really don't seem necessary, and every time I get to them I can just feel myself rolling my eyes, honestly. Like, okay, that's great, I can tell by the contents page at the start what's going to be in each section. You don't need to keep telling me every few pages that a different point will be in a different section. I don't know, it's just annoying me, but yeah. What makes people sleep deeper was very interesting. I'd never heard of the sleep spindle before, so that entire like section there I thought was like really interesting and could have just had like its own section based on that. Yeah, and that is one of the few things, unfortunately, at part 1 that I've picked out that was really interesting. But the fact that there's like one part in part 1 that is the introduction, and like I found that really interesting, gives me high hopes for the rest of the parts. I really enjoyed the theory in there that said, rather than asking why do we sleep, we should ask why do we wake. And I thought that was interesting, and there was like a small little paragraph on it, and it didn't go into any more detail. And at the end of that paragraph it didn't tell me, don't worry, we'll talk about this more in chapter X, Y and Z. So yeah, I'm hoping that'll come up again, but I don't know. It wasn't really expanded on, but I found that was like another interesting point. There's a large section about babies and infants and all that shit, and I just don't care. It went on for ages and I have no interest, and I just didn't care. I definitely found myself skimming and like just half listening for that section, because it's just like, I don't give a shit, like, honestly. Which is once again another me pet peeve, but I'd include it as this is my review. So okay, so this is my check-in for both part 2 and part 3. I did miss the after part 2 check-in, but I mean part 3 was a very, very small section. It was literally just that little bit there. It's still really interesting. There's definitely more interesting concepts and things being spoken about. However, it's still just so many words. Like, I honestly feel like this book could have been a quarter of the size if they'd have just said what they meant once rather than like 3 or 4 times. Like, at one point it was on about how you can like create things in your sleep, and then it gave, well, after already stating that the periodic table was created with only one error in the guy who created its sleep, they then went on to give like, I think it was 2 or 3 examples of musicians, and like it just wasn't necessarily like, and they went like fully into it as well, like this musician did this song and this is how it happened, and he knew that this song was part of his sleep because he did this, and then it went into another one of those. I think it was just 2, I think it was a Beatles song and another song, I can't remember, but yeah, it really went into it. I was just like, you already told us this once, like repeated a second time and then repeated a third time. I don't know, like it's still very enjoyable. I'm really enjoying the concepts, and like I do feel like I'm learning like little bits and pieces, but it's just so much wordage. Like it feels like everything has been like doubled, tripled, quadrupled to make it into like book size. This guy's mentioned a few times there how he does like talks and he does stuff like that, and this is kind of what it feels like. Like this should be a talk that is being given with like things on like a slideshow projector behind, and like, you know, like that way it'd be more interactive and you'd kind of understand going over and over, because like you'd do that with an audience. But yeah, in terms of it being as a book, it's just very repetitive and really feels like there's more words than there needs to be. However, except for that, it's really enjoyable and I am learning stuff, so it's kind of like meh right now. But yeah, I'm probably gonna finish this last section off within the next few hours. I think I'm listening to it on audio whilst I'm painting today, and it says there's 4 hours and 20 minutes left, but whilst I'm painting I'm able to listen to it at 1.5 speed, so what's that, like 3 hours, less than 3 hours left. So yeah, that's the plan. I'll check in when I'm finished with my final thoughts. Okay, so I've just finished the book while we sleep, and I mean, I am knackered. I am gonna have a very good night's sleep tonight, but not because of the book. I don't know. I've enjoyed it. I think it's good. I've definitely learned things, and I will definitely take more consideration when I'm considering messing up my sleep pattern and messing about with it. I will definitely take more consideration into the effects and what it will do, and I definitely think I'll value sleep more and like try to like do some of the things I've learned. To be honest, the only one in there that I don't really do is like not to lie awake at night. Like I do often struggle to get to sleep, and I will just lie there because I do think like eventually I'll nod off, but sometimes it takes 3 or 4 hours, which isn't great. And to be fair, if I've got an audiobook on the go, I'll just start listening to an audiobook. So like that kind of, I know it's not getting up and doing something, but I feel like for me that does. But sometimes I haven't got an audiobook on the go, I just don't. I do just lie there. So I feel like that's good to know, and I do think it's interesting, like learning the science, learning like all of the stuff behind it, and like having knowledge of the different experiments and studies that have happened. Like yeah, it was a good book. It could have been a lot shorter and still been a very good book, but yeah, overall really good. Would I recommend it? If you are interested in sleep and the topic, yeah, sure, why not. I would recommend the audiobook. It was a basic audiobook, like it didn't do anything special, but it was really good. Like I followed along very well, and yeah, I thought it was decent. I think I'm going to give it 4 stars. Like I struggle to rate non-fiction because I don't read it that often, but I've read non-fiction before where I've been like, that is 5 stars, like that was amazing, and this didn't get that, so I'm going to go with 4 stars because it was still really good. So yeah, that is my overall thoughts, feelings, conclusion, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed.
Right, I'm halfway through Heartstopper and I'm enjoying it. There's no real depth to the story. Like it's very, very easy to read, and it's just cute. The style of writing really surprised me actually. It's very much like, it's very real, like in the way that it portrays how people like text each other is very, like it's actually how people text each other, which I was surprised. I don't think I realised it was British as well. I think I thought it was American. So yeah, I was a little surprised at that. I don't know, I don't really have anything to say about it, but like, yeah, it's cute, I'm enjoying it. When I've read like graphic novels before, I felt like I've really not enjoyed like the art style. Whereas with this I do quite like it. It's very easy to interpret what's happening. I feel like quite often when you've got like a graphic novel, I find it very difficult to be able to figure out what I'm meant to pay attention to. Whereas I feel like actually with this book, what I've noticed is you have to pay attention to the words, like what the people are saying to each other, but the majority of the time you don't need to know what's happening in the like drawings. But then on the odd occasion where you have needed to pay attention, it's been like the full the full page, I guess. Like the drawings get a lot bigger than what they are normally, I guess. And yeah, I found it sort of easy to read so far. It's cute, like, you know, it's obvious that I can't remember the name of the what round is it?
Nick and Charlie.
It's obvious that Charlie likes Nick, but it's not so obvious if Nick likes Charlie. And yeah, that's the point I'm at. But yeah, it's cute, I'm enjoying it, it's nice. I actually finished Heartstopper last night, so I can't really remember what I said when I was halfway through. But yeah, I'll just talk about my thoughts. So, I really enjoyed the book. I think it was a really good introduction to graphic novels for me, actually. Like, I read one called Fangs about 6 months ago, and I quite enjoyed it, but it didn't really feel like it was for me, whereas Heartstopper, I actually genuinely really enjoyed the art style, and I found it a bit easier to follow the story. Like, I feel like with graphic novels in the past, I've really struggled to, like, quite often there's a lot going on visually, and I've really struggled to, like, be able to follow that. I think with Heartstopper, it was very much like the majority of the storytelling is sort of told through speech mark, the speech bubbles. Like it's almost as if you're just like reading conversations, and then the graphic is sort of like it supplements it, like it complements it. Whereas I feel like with a lot of graphic novels, like you've got to really pay attention to the graphics, and I think that's something that I sort of struggle with. So yeah, I think it was a really good introduction. I think she chose very well. I'm down for reading more of them, yeah, for sure. Like it was, you know, it only took me a couple of hours to read it. You know, it was probably total actually an hour and a half thinking about it. So yeah, it was very relaxing, very nice to read. The story was cute. It was very sort of basic. Like I think towards the end, what are the two main characters called?
Nick and Charlie.
And then what was Charlie's hookup called? Ben. At the end, when Nick went to see the girl that he used to like, I thought he was going to come back and find Charlie and Ben like kissing or something. Like I was kind of expecting the twist, but there wasn't really any twist like that. It was quite a simple story. I think I didn't realise that it was like I didn't realise that. I knew the story was about two guys. Like I knew it was like, you know, I knew they were gay, but I didn't realise that Charlie and what?
Nick.
I didn't realise that Nick didn't know that he was gay at the beginning. So yeah, I think that was good. I think it's, you know, it's important to like represent that kind of thing. So yeah, I think I enjoyed the story. I was surprised at how the writing very much felt like how I speak. Like, you know, obviously it seems like the author is, you know, British and probably around the same age as me. You know, maybe a couple of years older. I don't actually know how old. The author is the same age as me. Heather has just let me know. So yeah, like it really surprised me that like the lingo was like, you know, it's exactly how I type messages. Like I was very surprised at that. I think I actually thought it was American at first. So yeah, it was just like a British secondary school, and like they're talking in the exact same way that I talk. That was a bit interesting, like in a good way. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about it, to be honest. It was, you know, it was a very sort of straightforward story. It was heartwarming. Like it, you know, it's just a cute story. Like yeah, I don't have anything bad to say, but like I don't have anything like amazing to say about it either, to be honest. Yeah, I've rambled enough.
Okay, so we both finished the books. I have actually just finished editing the video. We just needed to film this bit, and yeah, it went surprisingly well.
It did, yeah, definitely.
Jay, first of all, gave Murderbot 5 stars.
I did.
He agreed with my rating. I then gave Why We Sleep 4 stars compared to Jay's 5-star rating. And Jay then gave Heartstopper 4 stars compared to my 5-star rating.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's pretty successful.
Definitely.
These are the books all together, so yeah, I don't know, I'd be up for doing this again. I think it was pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was, the books that you chose were really good choices. I think they were, you know, they're both very different, but they were both very good introductions to fictional writing.
Are you going to continue on in either of the worlds?
I am. Well, I mean, the Murderbot diaries I've added to my Amazon wishlist when I get paid tomorrow. So yes. And obviously, are we mentioning that we've watched the Heartstopper Netflix
series?
series?
So we have watched the entire Heartstopper Netflix series.
We binged the entire series last night.
But yeah, we watched the entire series. It was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And season 1 was based on volume 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think you'll like read the rest of them before the like hopeful next season comes out?
It's going to be years rather than months for the next season, isn't it? So I'd have thought so. Like I'm not in any rush to read the sort of the next Heartstopper graphic novels, but I'm sure I will at some point. So
yeah,
they're easy to read. Like
yeah,
I feel like
nice.
Murderbot, like I really got into it. Like, you know, I am really looking forward to getting the next ones. Oh, big fluff.
He's such a meaty boy.
I'm really looking forward to getting the next ones and sort of like really getting into that. And yeah, Heartstopper's kind of like, it's easy to read. I'm sure I will at some point. I'm just not in a rush to.
Yeah, Sounds good.
Yeah.
I think it's made me realise I do enjoy reading non-fiction, but maybe I should pick my own non-fiction out.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I gave it 4 stars, like it was good, but like I don't really feel like, unless the non-fiction is like bad, I don't really feel like you can give it much less than 4 stars, because like it's fact. Like,
yeah, and see, I think what you found, where it gives you a concept and then it'll explain it in 3 different ways, I think that's a good example of why there are so many like services now, like Blinkist and others, where it's like you choose a book and it'll give you like a 15-minute summary, and you know, you can get like more than half of the information of that book from that 15-minute summary, and then you can kind of decide
if you want to read more
if you want
about that section.
Yeah, exactly.
But at least there was less new information for me than I thought there would be going into it.
See, I quite like it when books have information that I already kind of knew, but like explained in a new way, or like, you know, explained in an interesting way, or even just like consolidated, like really like boiled down from like a sort of vague wishy-washy idea that I already had.
Fairs. Yeah, I definitely am still like fiction.
Yeah, of course, and I'm still non-fiction, but I think this has been...
Oh, but not non-fiction with like a...
No. Like, I think these are, because I haven't really read fiction since I was a kid, so, you know, obviously like r/writing prompts, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I
think it went well.
It definitely did.
We're both happy with it. We've both had a good time.
We did.
Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I've tried my very best to put in like little glittery bits for where Jay started mentioning spoilers. So hopefully you didn't get spoiled if you didn't want to. But yeah, do give the video a like if you liked it. Subscribe down below if you'd like to see more content like this. And hopefully we or I shall see you next time. Bye!